Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Power Up by PNM podcast hour in partnership with the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, featuring some of our community's favorite leaders and small business owners. So plug in your favorite device, grab a sack lunch and your favorite beverage, and join us every Tuesday at noon to meet the movers and shakers in our community that are not letting anything hold them back. We are here to inspire you to continue to grow and scale your small business venture. Don't forget to call us at 505-842-9003 for all of your PPE supply needs. And for this podcast and any and all other information about the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, visit us at www.ahcnm.org/chamber chat. We'll give you another minute if you are joining us live.
Hey, welcome Hispano Chamber of Commerce members. This is JP Espinoza, the host of the Powered Up by PNM podcast, and today we have a really great guest, Mr. James Ortiz with REDW, where he's going to drop some nuggets, some wisdom bombs on us when it comes to tax. But before we do that, I have a couple of quick announcements. We have our Get Crafty event coming up Thursday, October the 14th at 5:30 p.m. at the Salt Yard. That's going to be a great place for you to meet some new people and enjoy beverages, enjoy camaraderie as we bring New Mexico back. We also have a great event coming up this Friday, October the 15th, which is the Hispanic Heritage Awards Banquet, where we honor 10 entrepreneurs in our area for the great work that they've done. You do not want to miss that. You can learn more about that at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce website. It's going to be here on October the 15th at Hotel Albuquerque. Also, what's brewing in the queue? Thursday, October 21st at 9 a.m. at the Happy Camper Cafe. That's going to be another great event. Also, one of my very favorite events of the month is the Biz Gratis, held every single month. It's going to be this Wednesday, October the 27th at 5:30 p.m. And we're hosting it right here in the very own Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce courtyard. Not going to want to miss that. Usually we get about 75 to 100 people show up, and those events are fun and amazing. Also, there's so many great events here happening throughout the entire city. You can learn about them our register. You can actually learn about them at the events and programs page at the community calendar at the Chamber's website. So make sure you check that out. Also, if you're in need of PPE supplies, the Chamber is your resource. So make sure that you contact us from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Schedule your pickup, but you must be a business under 50 employees, conduct business inside the Bernalillo and City of Albuquerque city limits, provide business information, and register online. So we have so many great things. Check out our website for events that you want to join, because your participation is so important. Now, today we have a really amazing guest. His name is Mr. James Ortiz. He sits on our board, but he's one of the most brilliant men you'll ever meet when it comes to understanding tax, planning, and today he's going to drop those nugget bombs on us when it comes to tax. So welcome, James Ortiz.
Thank you.
Man, we're excited to have you on the show.
I'm excited too, thanks.
Man, so you're on our board, man. You're a CPA, you work for RDW. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in your career.
Well, my career is kind of different. I graduated, actually my last couple semesters of college.
Yeah.
My bachelor's degree is actually in finance.
Yeah.
And so you'd laugh because I'm actually almost came out in your industry. But what happened is my last year of college, I got in with a couple buddies. We were studying all the time, and they found a job at Tax and Rev, New Mexico State Tax and Rev. And it was in the call center.
Yeah.
So the call center was open from 8 to 8. And then Saturdays from 8 to 12. And so they worked around your school schedule.
Right.
So you got to be able to go in, for like a 4-hour block whenever convenient. As long as you worked, I think, like a minimum of 25 hours, so they could give you part-time. You got benefits and a decent pay for someone that's in college at that time. So last year I stayed at TRD. I was, in their call center answering those calls from taxpayers across the state, calling people in the evening, trying to do tax collections. So didn't really think much of it. At that time, it was just a job, kept me busy. Graduated, like I said, got my UNM Lobo here. So
Lobos.
Got
That's
my bachelor's in finance. So I started to explore the financial sector, and that was back in 2006.
Wow.
A couple years before the crash.
Yeah.
And so, unbeknown to me, I think I wanted to be at that time more on the analyst side.
Sure.
Not really on the advisor side.
Right.
And so when I went out, I checked different industries. I interviewed in different areas, and all they were really offering was advisory positions. So you got to take that risk,
Right.
jump. My wife and I were together then. I think we had just found out. Actually, that's funny. My oldest daughter just turned 13.
Come on, man. Oh, happy birthday to her.
So just found out that she was expecting, and so I just moved up at the state. I moved into a tax examiner position. Really more gross receipts tax related on Schedule C mismatches and personal income tax mismatches and such, and kind of took a back seat. And so at that time, I think when we found out we were expecting Audrey, we decided I'll go back for my master's in accounting and see where I go from there. And I moved up again at the state, became a full-fledged gross receipts tax auditor. So I was doing audits on businesses, mostly out-of-state businesses that were doing business in New Mexico at that time. Couple in-state businesses, and ended my career kind of looking at cost segregation audits, which is a lot tied towards more economic development.
Sure.
So the cost segregation studies that are done on buildings that qualify for industrial revenue bonds or nonprofits, etc. So I did a couple of the reviews on those audits, and then one of the regional CPA firms that's here in Albuquerque pulled me out, and I went to go work for them for a few years. Learned a lot. That was a lot of just doing tax credits and incentives, like the several credits that are available here, like high wage credit, rural jobs tax credit, tech jobs credit, investment credit. So engulfed in that, and gross receipts tax consulting. Did that for a couple years, and then departed there and went to go work for Gap, the clothing company.
No way.
Yeah, they have a regional corporate shared services center here.
Yeah.
So I did. That one was an eye-opener, because then I did sales and use tax returns for their 5 entities across the nation.
Right.
So I think there was a team of 8 of us that filed upwards of I don't know how many returns a month.
Come on, man.
5,000. I don't know. It was a lot. But so I learned a lot from there. I was like, having to file sales tax returns in Colorado, Arizona, all these different states for 5 different entities. And about that time, I was there for a couple years, and one of my old colleagues had gone over to RDW.
Yeah.
Contacted me and said, hey, RDW is looking to really invest and grow a state and local tax practice. So I focus completely in state and local tax. I don't do any tax returns, 1040s. I'm a very good business consultant. So my clients, I bring them in, we talk about all different things, but I kind of am more of a matchmaker in those areas.
Right.
So I find my tax partner, I find my audit partner, my HR partner, like those people, and get them involved with my clients. But really my area is just multi-state sales and use tax, multi-state income tax, credits and incentives, property tax, those types of or what we joke around, I guess I couldn't go without saying this, but my firm also jokes around that I kind of head up the SLA department, state, local, and anything weird.
Yeah, I get that.
So, one of my big things that we came up with this past year is I headed up our PPP loan practice and our ERTC practice, all from the CARES Act.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's been a busy couple of years, but, over the last 7 years, I've got tremendous amount of support from RDW. Started over there as a senior, moved quickly up to a senior manager, and I was promoted to principal. I think it's just over a year.
Oh man, congratulations, man! That's huge.
It's been huge. It's been a great.
Oh man,
great
that's
to
awesome.
Me and my family.
Hey man, congratulations on all the wonderful things that you've accomplished. Hey, let's go back to something you said a moment ago, and how to deal with business consulting. Mm-hmm. At what point does a business need to talk to someone like yourself to make sure that they don't get behind in taxes?
Right. So I mean, a lot of the areas where I get clients from or helping clients is the state has different programs in which they've tried to find people that are either delinquent or may not be doing their taxes correctly.
Right.
Specifically to gross receipts tax, they do a program called a Schedule C mismatch program.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a business owner, you file a Schedule C on your federal taxes. It's the business return. The state has an agreement with the IRS, so they share information.
Right.
So if there's a Schedule C filed with a New Mexico address, the state gets a copy of that.
Gotcha.
They cross-reference it with their system, and they say, oh, well, Joe Smith didn't file any gross receipts tax, but he filed a Schedule C, so then you get a nasty notice in the mail.
Oh, man. So there's really no way to get around gross receipts tax.
No. They'll find it.
They'll find you.
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, I've been in that audit program when I was leaving the state. they were implementing their audit program. I believe they still use today, which is DTax, which is a software of some sort. I did a lot of the early testing on that, but I can't speak to it. I mean, I've been out of the state now for almost
So let's go back.
12 years.
So let's go back where you get one of those nasty letters, right? So I open up my mail and let's say I didn't even know about gross receipts tax because I just launched a business. I'm growing a business and I didn't even think about it, right? So I get this letter in the mail saying, "Hey JP, you owe X amount of dollars of back taxes dating back for the last 3 years or so," something like that. Does that happen?
Love the sound effect. Love that. Yeah, that's probably about 60%. So a good amount of my business is dealing with those notices or audits from the state where people just don't understand. A good amount of it is also out-of-state companies that come into New Mexico and don't even understand grocery.
That's exactly right.
So you get your notice, and yeah, your first thing you guys should do is probably contact your CPA firm of some sort and figure out, how they can help you. One thing that's kind of weird is that myself, I think you mentioned earlier, and I want to just make sure I'm clear with that, is that I'm not a CPA. I work at a CPA firm,
right?
But I've chosen a path where I'm actually, more like. Well, we go on the more consulting side.
Right.
We're actually seeing in the CPA profession more is that we're actually hiring more non-CPAs.
Really?
Because we have an HR consulting practice, stuff like that. So I really focus on sales and use tax. So I don't really need the credentials to sign financial statements or sign a tax return or anything else like that. But so you contact me and you say, okay, well, what does this mean? Right. So the first thing we're going to look at is what are you doing in New Mexico? Right. Let's determine what you're doing. The easiest place to start when you look at gross receipts tax, unfortunately, is it's probably taxable.
It's probably taxable. I bet you there's so many people listening, and they've been doing business in the state probably for a lifetime,
Right.
but they probably do not understand gross receipts tax, also known as GRT, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So gross receipts tax is a tax that encompasses. It's pretty much your starting point for gross receipts tax. The easiest way to start is it's taxable.
Yeah, everything's taxable.
If you're engaged in business in New Mexico, you're selling tangibles, you're performing services, you're licensing,
right?
Those types of things. So pretty much encompasses any type of activity you would do to have commerce or revenue in the state.
Right.
There's certain things that are exempt, but I mean your starting point's taxable, but then you can go through the list of exemptions and deductions that are possible. So that's where, when you get your notice, that's where you've got to start.
Okay.
It may be taxable, but let's see if there's a deduction or an exemption.
I'll be praying, please.
So are you reselling your services? Or are you reselling? Are you selling to someone that's reselling your tangibles? Are you selling out of state?
Right.
So you're not even selling into New Mexico, but you have a Schedule C in New Mexico. You really got to go through that. I mean, you don't just want to get the notice and cut the check. You want to go through and make sure that, hey, what am I doing? And then it's an education part, right? So it's saying, okay, well, maybe, sorry, but you were performing, or you were engaging, you were doing business here, you should have been collecting tax, and now you've got to. The good thing is, over the last couple of years, New Mexico has gotten a little more lenient. Before, they used to just give you the notice and you were subject to the P&I. Now, at least, they give you, I think, a 30 or 60-day window on the front to kind of figure out what you need to do, and they offer you their managed audit program.
Gotcha.
Which, if you go through that program, it's a great program. It relieves you of all penalties and interest, but you would have to still pay the back taxes. But the P&I can get high. Penalties 20% top. Ooh. Interest is at the federal rate compounded.
So if they go through this program, they possibly can avoid some of that. That's
so important. Avoid all of it.
Yeah. Man, that's huge.
If they go through the program and they qualify, they do it right, they can avoid all the penalties and interest. You can't avoid the tax, of course. You got to pay that. And then it's an education point of saying, hey, this is how you do it going forward. You got to collect this. Because the big thing about a gross receipts tax is that it acts like a sales tax in the sense that you can pass it on to your buyer, or to the consumer, right? So if you buy this pen from me, I'm going to charge you the pen's price plus gross receipts tax. The downfall with those notices on the rears is that you didn't collect the tax. So it comes out of your pocket at that point. So you want to be ahead. You want to understand. And that's where a lot of the sales tax to gross receipts tax is completely different.
Man, so it's, okay. Let me break this down just to make sure that I understand. Before I get into this question, I was reading an article recently that says that there's two reasons why businesses fail. Right. Number one is they get behind on their taxes, and they're constantly trying to play catch up, and it just compounds because of this the penalties and interest. And number two is because of labor costs. That's not properly managed. But going back to the taxes, the key thing is that if a business owner does not recognize or understand how the GRT works, they're responsible for that, and now the consumer should have paid for that, but now they're having to recapture those dollars and pay them out of their own profits.
The big thing about a gross receipts tax is it's an engaging in business tax. So you, as the business, are actually subject to the tax. So
Wow.
You're engaging in business in New Mexico. You're subject to the tax. You have the capability to pass that tax on,
Right.
but you're subject to it. So in other words, if you didn't collect it, it's still on you. It's not going back to the person
right.
that purchased it from you and saying, hey, you owe me the tax.
Yeah, and you can't be that guy. Hey, by the way, I didn't charge you enough. Yeah, how's that going to roll
Go
over?
back and get you some. We've been through that before. Though.
Wow.
But it is important for a business, whatever size, small,
Wow.
large, anything, to really understand like what is this tax and how do I minimize the impact on my business? Because any type of a sales tax or this gross receipts tax, you're just supposed to collect it.
Right.
Your fiduciary responsibility is just to collect it and turn it over to the state.
Right. So let me ask you this question, right? So we have the cost of goods and services, right? That goes into my income statement. We also have sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have a gross receipts tax. They're not one and the same.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, there's the gross receipts tax acts as a sales tax.
Gotcha.
But it's not considered a sales tax.
Gotcha.
Right? So it acts in the sense of a sales tax that you can collect it from your consumer.
Right.
But it's a traditional sales tax in another state is really like the sale of tangible personal property.
Right.
Certain services, not all. More and more states are expanding the services, though.
Right.
In fact, there have been states, from what I'm told, there's been states that have actually started looking at New Mexico's taxing system to say, hey, what more services can we tax in our state
Oh, wow.
to increase revenue?
Well, tell them don't do
There's
it.
only 3 states that tax like us, all services all services. So it's New Mexico,
Yeah.
Hawaii, and South Dakota.
Huh, that's
They all
interesting.
have those 3 have these engaging in business tax. They really tax all services and tangibles and everything. But
Wow.
it's really a tax on the consumer at that point.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's interesting because South Dakota's economy seems like it's doing well from what I
Right.
hear. So if their economy can flourish, what's going on with New Mexico's?
I mean, we often our taxing system isn't friendly to businesses.
Right.
And so one of the areas that I'd work a lot on the economic development side, specifically for credits and incentives or ways for either existing businesses that decide to grow, to find ways to get them an incentive that maybe helps them with that growth or rewards that growth.
James, you're bringing up a really great point. What I like to do, I want to unpack that point when we come back from commercial break, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's go to commercial break.
New Mexico has long been a land of potential. We could be this, we might do that, someday. For renewable, affordable energy, someday is today. The PNM parent company is merging with Avangrid, a national leader in clean energy. We'll continue to invest in technology and energy infrastructure benefiting the state. We'll make 100% carbon-free energy by 2040 possible, while keeping bills affordable. New Mexico is more than a land of dreamers. We're doers.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm JP Espinosa with the Powered Up by PNM podcast, and today we're with James Ortiz, who works at REDW as just a complete wizard when it comes to taxes. So that's how I'm going to describe him. Okay, so he's like the tax wizard over there, and he's dropping them value bombs on us because he's showing us how taxes work and how it's so important for you to understand how gross receipts tax work within your business, because you do not want to get behind that. And he just unpacked that in the first segment. So if you need to learn how that works, go back and listen to that. Right now, we're going to talk about how GRT, which is gross receipt tax, is working with economic development. But hey, man, I want to poke the bear a little bit, in meaning it's time that we really figure out how do we grow New Mexico's economy, and where do we need to put pressure on our legislator, put pressure on our state to figure out is GRT good or is it bad for us?
Well, I mean, it's definitely our largest revenue source, right? So if we look at the pie for tax sources, gross receipts tax is our largest revenue source. So do we want to get rid of it, or do we want to go back to a sales tax, it's really that comes down to, are we willing to take a revenue hit?
Right.
And where are we going to make up that revenue? So
Right.
if we switch to just a traditional sales tax, sales on tangible specific services, limit the deductions, limit the exemptions, but really weigh heavily on resales and everything, exemptions in those areas. Nonprofits go back to being exempt, everything like that.
Right.
Where's that revenue going to come from the
Right.
services that we just lost?
So it's like, this is a tough position to be in.
Right. No,
because as we look at our economy, if we want our economy to grow, then we're going to have to incentivize businesses, because only one of the major economic engines is small businesses.
Right. And it's taxes itself, right?
Right.
And so when you look at it, and I don't know what the latest is, I probably haven't seen this in the last couple of years, but for a while there, until we made some changes on our taxing system, we were, I think, consistently almost dead last or close to on rating for favorable taxes for business.
I was looking at it the other day. As a matter of fact, in preparation for this podcast, there's only one state that has higher tax for personal income tax and corporate income tax, and that's California.
Right.
And then we're right up there with California taxes, but we don't have the California economy.
Right, we don't. And personal income taxes, I don't know if we're that high for California. I mean, our personal income, our property taxes are really low.
Right, property taxes.
Right, but then it's really this gross receipts tax, and we really need to figure out what we're going to do with it. So we really need to understand, like, are we going to keep it? Because if we are going to keep it, then we need to find some areas to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely, because we have this concept called tax pyramiding.
Right, double taxation.
Double taxation.
Yep.
Do you think our business owners know that they're being double taxed?
Probably not. Not when they're getting down to the end user.
Man.
When you look at it from service side, that the state allows an exemption for services for resale.
Right.
So if I'm a service provider, and I'm contracted by another service provider to help them with the job.
Right.
That service provider can issue me what's called a non-taxable transaction certificate. Everybody hears of it as NTTC.
Right.
In this case, it's a type 5 for services for resale.
Okay.
So they issue it to me, and I'm contracted by that service provider. And then what the goal is there is that I'm not going to charge him tax, or he, she, whoever it is, but they are going to charge their end user the gross receipts tax on my bill, their bill, markups, everything else like that. So tax is charged once, right? That's how the transaction works. But now let's complicate that transaction a little bit.
Okay, so let me pause right there, because you said a lot, right?
Right.
So can someone avoid? So that's how someone can avoid being double taxed, by filling out this NTTC. Yeah, NTTC.
Well, that's definitely one of the mechanisms they put in place to avoid double taxation.
Gotcha.
It still occurs though.
Yeah, it still occurs.
So that's where we get to that complicated, and so
okay.
Service. I'm still the same contract.
Right.
But now I need help.
Right.
So I've got to subcontract another service provider to help me.
Okay.
I can't issue him a type 5.
So you're stuck with it.
He bills me tax.
So like one person gets a pass, then you get stuck with it. He's going to bill you the tax, and then you're like.
So I get billed the tax. So of course, when I go to do my bill, and I've got to bill the service provider that contracted me, I'm going to include the tax in that amount, the total bill. I'm going to include my bill, whatever markup, and I'm billing them. So now we have a bill that's taxed once, and it's now in the service provider that has the original contract, right? He's going to bill the end user and add tax. So now you've had tax on tax from a transaction back here. So that's where that pyramiding concept comes in, where there's double taxation. And unfortunately, it went through the ringers of the court system in New Mexico, and they ruled that it wasn't illegal.
How? Who made that decision? Get their name and number, man.
It's an old court.
Come
case.
on,
I can't
man.
really tell you which one it is, but
that is crazy.
So,
but
I mean, that's areas where you, as the end consumer back here, that paid for those services, would probably not understand that your bill was a little higher because you have tax in there twice.
Yeah, but you compound this over hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions in our economy, and this thing adds up. I.e., the $1 billion of money that we can't afford to lose.
Right. I mean,
okay.
that's. I mean, you're having tax on tax in that situation. It happens in the manufacturing industry too. On consumables.
Right.
Only certain consumables are exempt. And then services and stuff that are provided for manufacturers may not be. I mean, manufacturers don't get that many exemptions as they.
So help me understand. So does Hawaii and South Dakota both have this double taxation problem, even though?
I can't say for sure, but I would assume that they do if they don't have. Well, I mean that type 5 issue that I was telling you, like there's in the statute itself, there's a line in there that basically states that in order for that exemption to apply, the next transaction would need to be taxable.
Right.
You strike that line from that statute, you remove double taxation in that scenario. Because then it would be able to be issued in what they called stacked.
Right.
So you'd be able to issue it all the way down to the bottom user and have no tax come all the way up until the end user's charge tax.
So how does this impact economic development in New Mexico?
Well, I mean, if you don't have a favorable taxing system, then companies don't want to come locate here. Right. And so they get offsets. You know, we offer a lot of incentives for hiring. All of our incentives that I'm aware of are all geared towards job growth, which is rightfully so, right? We want people to come and bring jobs to New Mexico, right? And so when you go to the high wage credit, the rural jobs tax credit, tech jobs, you know, investment tax credit, all of those are credits to help it grow, but they're also tied to job growth, but some of them are offsetting to taxes themselves, so like if the manufacturing investment tax credit, that's a credit for new manufacturing equipment or infrastructure in New Mexico tied to job growth, right? And then you get a percentage back as a credit that you can use against your gross receipts tax and everything else like that. However, if you're a manufacturer that came into New Mexico and brought all your equipment into New Mexico, you paid compensating tax on that.
Wow. And
so when you get that investment tax credit, you're really just offsetting tax that you've already paid.
So it's almost a wash there at that point.
It's a wash.
So, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he has, you know, his company did about $35 million last year, and it's not a bad company. He's like, you know, JP, I'm just sick and tired. I'm thinking about moving to Texas because we need to expand, and I don't think I should expand here. I should expand in Texas. How many times are we having that conversation?
Probably more often than we should.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where every state has their economic incentives of some sort. Some states are more lucrative than other states, and so it's a battle. I'm sure our state economic development department could tell you about it. I'm sure AED could tell you about it, and on how they're having to go up against these other states, and tax is a discussion in that, and in trying to figure out, hey, you know, do I want to deal with the gross receipts tax, any of that stuff? Do I want to deal with double taxation? Are there enough incentives to come, you know, in those types of things? And you know, the reality is I think there's I can't remember what his name is. Richard Pomp, that's his name. He's a professor, very heavy in the state and local tax industry. And his theory is all the states just get rid of incentives.
Just get rid of incentives, huh?
Get rid of incentives. And his theory is because at that point, you know, they have to come locate to your state because, you know, they need to or they want to or anything else like that. But it's almost like a domino effect, right? So one state starts offering these types of things, and we need to kind of offer something to be competitive and figure out how to get these jobs located here. But the reality is, I think we have a lot of things going for us here in New Mexico for economic development.
Yeah, man.
Tons of natural resources.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, when was the last time we had a tornado or earthquake?
Like never.
I mean, we don't really get a very big monsoon season, you know, and everything else like that. So, I mean, that we have that in our favor. I just think we need to find what do we put additional with that smoking gun to go after companies.
Man, I agree with you. I you know, I'm from Texas originally, right? And so I've found a love for New Mexico that New Mexico will always be part of me. I don't want to go back. Like, I love New Mexico. And I refuse to be entrapped. This is not the land of entrapment, man. This is my personal decision to stay here. I hate when people say that. It's just sorry about that.
I was born and raised. I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Graduated from Santa Fe High. Parents, I mean, I've got generations going back a long time in New Mexico. If you go down to the Santa Fe, in fact, and look at the Hilton that's down there, now they've converted it into a bar, but if you go down there, it's called the Ortiz Bar.
No way.
And you can go look at my family history.
Is that part of the original Ortiz family that moved from Mexico?
It's from the Hilton that used to own the Hilton. Yeah, that's the
Get out, man.
We're
talking to man, come on, man. I didn't want to talk to celebrity.
I'm the same with you. Like I was talking to somebody the other day. I was actually talking to Jeremy, who's on our board.
Yeah, I love Jeremy, man.
And we ran into a girl that had just graduated from Nebraska. You know, Jeremy's from Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah.
But she's from New Mexico. She went to college in Nebraska, and she came back. So that's me, where you say it's the land of entrapment. And
Yeah.
I don't believe. I want my kids to possibly go out of state for school, or maybe stay in state. But at the end of the day, I think they should come back.
See, and that's it. I believe I love New Mexico. I mean, I love the culture. I love the people. I love the opportunities that are here, but I think it's time that we stand up and fight for these opportunities to figure out, like, what do we need to do to grow our economy? Because I do not want my kids to move away to a neighboring state because they seem like there's better jobs and better economic development or better place to start a business. And I believe that if we were to raise our collective voice and start saying, hey, listen, Mr. Politician, Miss Politician, we need to have these discussions on what we need to do to grow the state. And that's been basically my mantra lately.
I mean, we've got to figure out a way to make, you know, the state more business friendly.
We have
from a
to.
tax perspective, and we've got to be able to. Small businesses need help.
They need desperate help.
They need. I mean, that's where I think that we don't know what gems that we have that are small businesses now or startups. I do a lot of work in the startup industry.
Do you really?
Yeah. And so we don't know which ones are the small, you know, gems that turn into a Facebook, or
Right.
turn into, you know, we keep saying those things, but we even if, you know, if they get bought by a Facebook? Or
That's exactly right.
We got to look for those ones that are just, and so, you know, audit partner myself, we do a lot of work in helping. You know, I sit in two different scenarios. So I'm an advisor for the Santa Fe Business Incubator.
Okay.
And then I'm an advisor for the New Mexico State Arrowhead Center.
Yeah.
So every month I give out 2 hours or 2 hours a month to the Arrowhead Center. And that's just startup companies that just call me I think it's the second Tuesday. I have a 2-hour block that they're allowed to just give me a call just to ask questions about.
And how many people call you?
I probably have 2 appointments a week at minimum.
No way.
Yeah.
That's pretty active.
Yeah, no, they're very active. And the business incubator, we just started doing a couple projects with them, but they reach out all the time saying, we've got someone in there that needs help, you know, with this, and they just throw it out to all the advisors.
So is that a good way for you to market yourself? Is that why you do it, or you just want to get back, or?
That's more of the give back.
Come on, baby, that's what I'm talking about.
Like, and that one, it's definitely more the, you know, I like to see a small company get successful here and grow and become the big, you know, next big thing here. And
man.
We have a handful of successful stories here, and I just think we need more.
Man, that is wonderful. So I would imagine if I am a brand new startup, I want to learn about this origin sourcing tax versus destination sourcing tax.
Yeah, that was one of the big changes, and it just came out July 1st.
Okay.
The switch from what they call origin-based to destination-based. So
Right.
Prior to July 1, if we had a business in New Mexico, unless we were in a specific industry, and those industries were construction, real estate, telecommunications, utilities, etc. But if we were just a business selling services, tangibles, whatever, our tax rate was at our business location.
Right.
So Albuquerque, Santa Fe, you know, wherever your location was. Fast forward in July 1, and they've switched to destination-based sourcing. There's some carve-outs, but realistically now, if you're selling tangible personal property, or you're performing in-person services, or you're performing construction, that didn't really change, but they've kind of outlawed it. But now your tax rate is going to be where you're delivering something.
Right.
So if I'm selling this pen to JP and I live in Santa Fe, my business is in Santa Fe, you're here in Albuquerque,
Right.
and I sell this to you, I now have to collect the Albuquerque tax rate.
So, like, how does that work on a business owner? Like,
Let's say that I'm a pen salesman,
Right.
And I'm really it's just me. I'm a one-man shop.
Right.
I travel around.
That's
the
exactly
state,
right, yeah.
And I'm selling pens. Well, I go around the state and I sell in Hobbs, I sell in Los Lunas, I sell all over these areas, and now I have to track
Right.
the amount of sales in those specific locations. Because when I come back at the end of the month and I've got to report my gross receipts tax, well, not only do I have to track it at that point, but when I go to charge you the tax, so say I'm on the road and I'm like, all right, well, I just sold this to JP. What's the tax rate in Albuquerque on my invoice? I got to charge him 7.875%. But now when I go to Santa Fe, what's the tax rate there? What's the tax rate in all these different areas? Because you got to now know the tax rate. And the state has, you know, an address lookup thing. They've always had these semi-annual sheets that you get that give you the codes and the
Right.
location rates and everything else like that. So you can figure that out. But if I'm large business, like I'm Amazon.
Right.
Well, I have a tax engine that goes off of a zip code.
Right.
That finds the rate and spits it out and puts it on the invoice, or
Right.
when I do my order.
But how many small businesses have that kind of like tax engine?
I mean, it's not a cheap thing unless you've, got yourself the best, tax software or accounting software.
I guess, like, did the state really position small businesses to, I mean, I think that's probably going to hurt them, because
if they're a small business and they sell tangibles across the state, it's going to be an impact on their,
Wow.
having to go and do they buy a tax engine just for New Mexico and figure out how it can calculate the rates? Do they have to hire someone now specifically just to take care of the tax issues and report it correctly and stuff like that? Like, that could happen. Man, and that just changed. Yeah, July 1st is when that came into effect. So there may be a lot of companies now, like, and it's a law that you can read, but if you're in the service industry, you probably need to make sure you give it an extra look, just because there's some carve-outs for professional services. So,
Right.
If you're a professional service by definition, then you stay with origin-based sourcing. But if you're an in-person service,
like a retail store?
No, like a plumber.
Plumber? Gotcha.
A plumber, a masonry.
Got you. Going back for services.
Now you're an in-person service.
In-person service.
So
Yeah.
now you have to charge your tax rate based on where your location is.
Wow.
The downfall is location codes. I mean, let's just talk about Albuquerque and Rio Rancho.
Right.
When do you know you're in one or the other?
You don't.
Well, if you're a small business owner, you've got to do a little bit of research to figure out where you're at to report correctly. If you're an Amazon, because you have the zip code tax rate finder.
How many other states have this type of
It's
origin?
pretty common, actually. It's very common in other states to do destination-based sourcing. We were actually one of the few that actually stuck with origin-based sourcing.
Gotcha.
But really, the revenues should increase from this,
Right.
from a gross receipts tax perspective, because now it's going to encompass businesses that have no physical location in New Mexico. They will now have to collect the city and county rates. Before, they only had to collect the state rate.
Wow.
So it's all this big change from a huge Supreme Court case that changed my world back in 2018, which was the Wayfarer versus South Dakota case.
Yeah, I heard about that case.
Right. So that's now New Mexico has put in an economic nexus, which basically says nexus used to mean used to have a physical presence within a state. It's your touch within the state, right? So I'd have to have people, personnel, some type of physical presence within a state in order to say I have nexus. So if a company didn't have a physical presence here in New Mexico and they were selling these pens in New Mexico, shipping them from out of state into the state, they didn't have to collect any tax, any sales tax. But now with our new laws, they have to collect gross receipts tax if they hit a certain threshold, which is $100,000 in sales.
Man, James, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'd like to talk to you about like what an entrepreneur, what a business owner needs to do to really protect themselves against not necessarily just increasing taxes, but how they can prepare and protect themselves for the unknown.
Yep.
Right. So let's talk about that. Let's go to commercial break.
New Mexico has long been a land of potential. We could be this, we might do that, someday. For renewable, affordable energy, someday is today. The PNM parent company is merging with Avangrid, a national leader in clean energy. We'll continue to invest in technology and energy infrastructure benefiting the state. We'll make 100% carbon-free energy by 2040 possible, while keeping bills affordable. New Mexico is more than a land of dreamers. We're doers.
Hey, welcome back. This is JP Espinoza, your host with the Powered Up by PNM podcast. We're sitting with James Ortiz with REDW. He is the tax wizard, and I'm telling you, like the value bombs that he is dropping today. Number one, like you need to pull your notebook out, pull your pen out, and you need to take some notes because he's really unpacking how gross receipts tax has impacted the state. More importantly, he's talking about how they impact you as a business owner. So, right before break, we were talking about all these different moving pieces. Now, good thing I don't have hypertension because if I did, my blood pressure would have gone up because double taxation, those are big issues that we're facing here in the state of New Mexico. But really, one of the biggest concerns that we have is that what do we need to do to change or modify to help businesses grow and become more business friendly state? those are real issues. But it is what it is right now, and we can't fight it. Just moment. Those are discussions that we have to move into. So because it is what it is, how do we protect ourselves and really prepare for this type of taxation?
Well, I think as a business owner, the first and foremost thing, I talk to the my advisees at the Arrowhead and don't neglect accounting. Like just accounting in general.
Come on, baby. Come on. You're talking good now.
Just accounting in general.
Yeah, man.
Don't neglect it. I mean, at minimum, have an Excel spreadsheet, right? Of your income, your expenses, your everything else like that. Some way of doing your invoice and everything. And this is people that I've talked to that have never done it or may already be 2 years into this and still not done anything about their accounting.
James, you're touching a very exposed nerve with me, right? And the reason why I say exposed nerve is because my heart breaks when I see businesses fail.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I see people every day, man. They invest their entire life savings. They'll cash out their 401k to launch this business. And I'm telling you, my parents did it. You know what I mean? And it breaks my heart because I talked about earlier why businesses fails because of taxes and labor costs. They don't understand that. But the number two reasons why businesses have really slow growth is that they don't understand their cash flow and they don't understand marketing.
Right. So, I mean, you want to get a good grasp of your accounting. Now, startup business, small business, I've actually seen businesses like the one you mentioned earlier, like 30 million plus, that are still using QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Because it's just a very user-friendly program. It's a great program. It's got a ton of add-ins that you could do to it and everything like that. So you can go from doing your Excel sheet to QuickBooks. But then when it comes from the tax perspective, is that you really just got to understand, okay, so what are you selling in New Mexico and who are you selling it to, right? And those are your two things that you got to focus on because there's a lot of traps. I call them traps that if you don't educate yourself or figure it out. Now, New Mexico, I think they used to offer it. They used to offer some free, I don't know, pre-COVID or where it went, but you used to be able to go to the department and take a training class. I think I even taught one of them when I worked there.
Wow.
But it's just a training class on like kind of the basics of gross receipts tax. But really, I mean, just understanding that if you have sales tax liabilities or gross receipts tax liabilities, I mean, you want to be ahead of it because you want to collect it. You don't want to take it out of your pocket. But the other big thing, the second big thing that's coming out this day and age, I think we touched on it right before the break, is that if you're not selling in New Mexico, you also need to be aware of where you're selling outside these states with this new economic nexus laws because you can get caught with taxes in another state as well.
Man, that's tough, man. So let's talk about that entrepreneur who is, right now the internet has made more millionaires like probably in the last 10 years in like history, right? We've seen people like make gazillions of dollars on the internet. And a lot of these products may be like through Shopify or Amazon retailers, or, there was a big, big push around information products. People are selling their knowledge, which is great. And we're seeing people make, how does that work? Like from people who are like, they're selling these informational products. Maybe there's not a tangible product associated with it. Right. Like how does the tax on that work?
Well, you got to understand where you're selling, right? So if you're selling in New Mexico, in some way that could be considered you're providing a service of some sort.
Right.
So then you've got gross receipts tax on that one. Out of state, probably not so much tax exposure in that scenario. Right. You mentioned selling on Amazon or Etsy or anything else like that. That's something where you want to read your contract with Amazon, with whoever, eBay or Etsy, because there's been a boatload of changes in the sales tax world in that area. A lot of the time, depending on your status with those marketplace sellers, is that they may be collecting the tax. And so, in other words, you may not have to collect it. Right. But you do want to make sure that if you're supposed to collect the tax, that you do collect the tax in those scenarios. Wow. That's another area where you can get busted from doing online sales and everything else like that. And that's across the different states, not just New Mexico. Like I said, I deal with, multi-state. The big one is just realize you're not alone, even as a small business. Yeah. Because, I mean, when you sit down and you say, okay, well, I've got all this to worry about, I'm trying to grow my business and everything. What I say for some of them is find yourself, at least at the beginning of your startup phase, is just find yourself a really good, inexpensive bookkeeper. Yeah, I mean, can I make a comment about that? And here's the thing, as I talk to business owners, I've ran businesses myself, is that we do everything we can to try to avoid taxes. Right. And what I've come to realize is like,
just like lean into it. Don't avoid it, because the house is always going to win in this scenario.
Well, I mean, typically, I mean, you see it now, and do a tax return at the end of it, and the business owner says, "God, why do I owe so much taxes?" Well, obviously, you made money if you owe taxes,
right?
So, I mean, that's like you're saying, it's just be prepared for it, right, and understand it. And I think that's an opportunity where you can utilize your CPAs in the tax department and our tax areas. You should probably, as you grow your business and you're starting to get to that phase of owing taxes, right. Well, you want to be ahead of what you owe.
That's exactly right.
Understand what you're going to owe. So meeting with your CPA quarterly, semi-annual, something like that, and throw numbers at them. Say, hey, our business is doing that, because the last thing you want is at the end of the year you just have this exceptional year, and you haven't talked to anybody about it, and all of a sudden, and then April 15th comes and now you have an exceptional tax payment to make, and you may not be prepared. And so that's where cash flows come in and all those types of things. Like it's a whole world, but you've got to watch the business grow from a baby to huge, and you've got to make sure you make the right steps along the way. Like, when do you need to hire a CPA, or when do you need an internal controller?
We need that. We need to have that discussion, because I think that's so important. You mentioned something in regards to paying your taxes and being ahead of it. What I think about business, and a lot of times people, like I said, man, we don't like paying taxes. I get it, but the greatest compliment in business is when you have to pay taxes. Right. That's it, man.
Yes. Because obviously you've had success in that area. Now that's where hiring a tax CPA. I mean, they're going to use the allowed deductions and exemptions to get you down to the least amount of taxes that you have to pay.
That's exactly right.
But at some point, I mean, there's going to be a break point where it says, hey, you just have to pay at this point.
James, look, man, we're pretty much out of time, but dude, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, man. I mean, I get excited.
You were very strange, because most people do not enjoy tax conversations.
I am strange on way another levels, brother. Well, what it is, I'm passionate about business growth. I'm passionate about business owners. I'm really passionate about not repeating dumb mistakes on my behalf.
Right. No, I agree.
And I got in trouble with taxes, in terms of, I remember I filed one tax return and my accountant calls me up. They're like, "Hey, JP, you owe $40,000," and I was like, "Where? Like how do I owe 40? Like, please do something." And they're like, "No, man. Like, we're gonna have to go on a payment plan."
Right. And I'm passionate too. I agree. I want New Mexico to grow. I want to see jobs here. I want to see everything. But one of the things that I'm passionate about, I'd say, is really, helping businesses, individuals, everything. I mean, I understand it is what it is right now for gross receipts tax. Right. But I mean, the best thing you can do is give them education in that area.
That's it, man.
And have them do it correctly, or have them doing it right, or find deductions or exemptions that they apply for and everything else like that. Or the random situations where you get a client that comes in and says, "I've been collecting all this tax and I shouldn't have been." Yeah. Well, then we go get that back from you.
And see, what I would love for especially our Hispanic business owners, our chamber members, is that what we want people to be familiar with business acumen, make strategic decisions, make smart decisions, because it's time that we grow and we prosper as a community. My purpose in life is to help people achieve generational wealth. Right. That's what I've committed my life to. Everything that I do is about helping people grow generational wealth. If that's important to them, but it certainly is important to me and the people that I work with. With that said, business acumen is at the forefront of generational wealth, because if we don't understand how to operate our businesses, we're never going to achieve it. And cash flow and taxes are at the foundation of those discussions. That's why I get passionate about this subject. I don't understand it completely, and sometimes I look at the numbers. I'm like, this is a different language, man. I totally get it, but we got smart people like yourself to help unpack it. So, man, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on the show today.
Yeah, no problem. And then, like you said, I mean, I don't know all of it either. Yeah. But I work with a great group of individuals to where, like I said earlier, I mean, I do a lot of matchmaking.
That's it, man.
Make sure that when a person's asking specific questions, specific industry and everything else like that, just find the expert.
What's interesting about generational wealth? I think a lot of people really think it's money and money alone, but there's 4 levels of generational wealth. Number 1, it's ability. Right. You have the ability to create wealth. Number 2, you have the capacity to grow wealth. Right. Number 3, it results in monetary value. But you know what's a fourth and probably the highest level of generational wealth? Is your connections in your network.
Networking connections.
Dude, that's it. Networking. That's probably the highest level, believe it or not, because if you have the right network, you can really grow anything.
For sure.
And that's like, having folks like you in our network, man. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I just want to say thank you to James for coming out on our show. How can people reach you, man? How do they get in contact with you?
Like I said, I work at RDW. We have an office there off of Jefferson and, God, what is that cross street? Mastheads.
Masthead, yeah.
Email address is jortiz@redw.com. Direct line, 505-998-3468. Easiest way to contact me is via email.
Yeah.
But, I'm out and about. I'm in the community.
Come on, man, dude. Thank you for doing so. Hey, there you are, James Ortiz, REDW. He is a tax and audit and everything that has to do with like taxes wizard. So I encourage you to reach out to him if you have any questions about that, because he's certainly a brilliant mind. And, here at the Chamber of Commerce, we certainly believe in the power of networking connections. We believe that you are one connection away from making your dreams come true, and we want to help facilitate that. So we encourage you to get involved, participate in all the wonderful events we have, because you never know who you're going to meet. Hey, this is JP Espinoza with the PNM podcast, and we encourage you to continue to pursue your dream, because it's certainly worth the pursuit. We'll look forward to seeing you on our next episode. You guys have a great day.